Hello, you lovely mutants. Joel Clark, head designer of Lone Wolf Fist, here to tell you all about how to kick ass in the post-apocalypse. Whiskey optional. Alright, so, the first thing you remember about any role-playing game, especially this one, and this does a very traditional cast, is that what you say that your character is doing or trying to do is important. It does something in the shared, imagined world of the description that the GM is putting out. So, saying, I beat this guy's face in with my fist, that does something. And it's important not to lose sight of that. Even though sometimes whenever you're learning a new system, you can think of it in terms of like, what are the mechanics and what do my dice do? And I think that's fine. It's important never to really lose track of the core thing which you're doing, which is you're describing this shared universe with real consequences. So the real consequences of getting into a fight when you have nuclear super fist moves, let's go through those real quick. So to take action in this game, instead of having a bunch of different discrete stats, you just have one, really, your effort pool. And the effort is kind of an abstraction of everything that you can do. You'll note that glomming all the stats together like that is, like, it makes characters broadly competent, but you might ask, like, why would you do it that way? Why wouldn't someone be maybe stronger or faster? And although you can distinguish yourself, you'll find that whenever you watch enough kung fu movies and wuxia movies and soak in enough, like, weeb anime stuff, like as I have done to prepare myself for writing this most outstanding of games, is that characters who practice mystical martial arts are so far beyond the pale in terms of what they can accomplish. And it's not like limited to one thing, it just kind of makes you better at everything. This idea was actually pioneered in the Legends of the Wulin game by Eric Tinbreck and Jerry Skold. And it's a brilliant piece of design because it means that it's easy to have smaller parties as well as having larger parties, and because the game is then focused on the action economy of punching and kicking and doing stuff, and less about niche protection, everyone at the table kind of has their own contribution, and it really alters the dynamic of how the game plays whenever someone is missing, or whenever someone new joins in. So from concept to consequence, it's really a wonderful mechanic. The way it manifests here is that you roll those dice, especially whenever you're about to do combat, and you line them all up like this. And you'll note that I've grouped together like facings into sets of matching dice. So there's 2 zeros here, a 3, a 4, and a 5. Now the way you read dice in the effort pool is the number of dice that are matching for a given action is the tens column, and the number on them is the ones column. So this is 2 dice, so that's a 20, so 2 for the tens column, and it's facing 0, so that's just 20. This is a single 1, 3, so that is 13, this is 14, and this is 15. So if you take an action with any of these dice, that will be the total of the action, and the tens column is also the rank of that action. Now, there's lots of different ways to use your effort, but like I said before, this is how your character does everything. So if they want to use a given skill, say power, to lift something heavy, the best they could do is this wonderful set of 2 zeros, and with a 20, that's a rank 2. Now, that's not particularly powerful, but whenever you start spending your magical prana, which is your mystic go-go juice in this system, you can use your kung fu techniques, and those can really change things. Like in this case, her atomic fist power will allow her to increase her power by a couple of ranks. So this rank 2 becomes a rank 4, and that's significant. Let me just scoot these off the table real quick, because how much of an effect something can have is based off of its effect chart, which I think I actually have some, right here. So these are older effect charts, but I'll give you the basic idea of what that would look like. Alright, so here's the power effect chart. So with a 4, that's a superhuman result. She can deadlift up to 2 tons. And again, this is an older version of this. Now it would be closer to getting a 2 or a 3. Actually, it'd be right around getting a 3, which is still deadlifting a solid ton, which that ain't too bad. And you'll note that if it was a rank above peak mortal, she wouldn't be able to lift more than 1,000 pounds. So that's an extraordinary jump in the amount that she can do just because she's scooted up a couple of ranks because of her technique. That magic kung fu makes a big difference. So, going back again, I kept the facings of these dice for purposes of this analogy. Let's go back to fighting, not just doing stuff, but actually fighting. Let's say these three dudes wanted to step to nuke real quick, and they got to roll their dice. Now, usually, a normal person in the scale of power of the system has a single effort die they get to roll, period. That's it. A normal, untrained person doesn't have any magic powers, and they just have one die. But they have the special ability to group together in larger groups and roll their dice together. This allows them the advantage of attempting to get sets like these. We also saw the power of sets earlier. But the downside is that they can no longer attack individually. This is because I didn't necessarily want your dice to get just... you'll see in a minute, but having them attack individually is kind of tedious. So I liked the idea of making it a little bit faster, so they're a group now. So this is the set that they get. This is what Nuke gets. So, after rolling for initiative, which is a single roll of a d10, that she'd roll, they roll, let's actually see who would go faster in this scenario. Nuke is kind of slow on her feet and gets only a 1. The bad guys get a 5, so they're actually going to be going first. So, they'll actually be attacking. Now, in this game, you can launch a single attack or do a single action during your turn with one of your effort dice. You will also note that once you roll at the start of the round, you keep these. They stay there, and that's your attack and your defense for this round, so you need to adjudicate these wisely. Now, you can also wear armor, and of course you have the ability to kind of like block and generally weave through things with something called an effortless defense, which acts as kind of like an armor class. But it's way better to have dice to defend yourself with, so these are a very scarce resource, and it means that whenever you are outnumbered by people, they can have the advantage of rolling more dice than you, which can make your job a lot harder. So in this case, they're going to try to stab her with this 9. Again, we're going to read that as a 19. It is a single die for 10, and then it's facing 9. That's actually a pretty beastly little attack. Nuke here has a couple of options. She can use her effortless defense, which right now is only a rank 1, which does translate to 10, and she can subtract 10 off of this, so she'd take 9 damage, which that's pretty painful. You only get 10 hit points per health level. She's only got 5 health levels as a cunning hero, so that would actually be pretty mean for her. If she uses one of these dice, it will reduce by the facing and the rank. So in this case, she'd reduce 15 and only take 4 damage. But the only way she can actually completely stop it is to use her largest set, which is this 20. That will completely ablate it, but it'll totally use up her best set. Now that would be it for them. They'd be done attacking this round, and they'd have to deal with her dice. And now she can attack with their 15, which is her best one time, and that's kind of lame, but she has a lot of other tricks on her side. For instance, she's unarmed, so she can actually attack with an additional single die facing, and if she wanted to, say, use one of her kung fu techniques to boost this rank, if you have a rank 2 or higher set, you get to do a bonus action and attack another time. So you can do flurries of kung fu action, and, well, let's just say that generally this is the result of that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little crash course. I'm going to finish up my whiskey and bid you all a fond adieu.